Hello, Los Angeles. Welcome to Love It or Leave It, Live or Else. Let's get into it. What a week. During his speech last week, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, living life to the fullest in this liminal space between being accused of sex trafficking and having a sexual relationship with an underage girl and going to prison for it, said this.
These pro-abortion, pro-murder rallies, the people are just disgusting. Like, why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb.
Is their second biggest concern after getting their moms to sign their field trip permission slips, according to the women I speak to. Gaetz continued his sociopathic Jay Leno coming out of anesthesia routine online, choosing a random 19-year-old abortion activist to mock as unattractive. The teen, Olivia Giuliana, subsequently used the insult to raise $115,000 for the nonprofit Gen Z for Change. Politicians who try to mess with Gen Z online are the dumbest idiots alive. You're in their habitat. You adopted the dark. They were born in it. Anyway, fascism is permission to be your worst self and be rewarded for it. It appeals to people who have been waiting for that their whole lives. In related news, the Justice Department has begun investigating Donald Trump's actions as part of its criminal probe into efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. For charges to stick, the DOJ will need to prove that the unhinged criminal president from January 6th was none other than Donald Trump. Sources told the Washington Post that the DOJ is currently gathering information on Trump's meetings in December of 2020 and January 2021, his campaign to pressure Mike Pence to reject the election outcome, and his attempts to install fake electors with the help of John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani. There's only so long you can keep your eyes closed and your fingers in your ears before you start bumping into things or need to use your hands for something, explained Attorney General Merrick Garland. In a major reversal, Joe Manchin announced this week that he's reached a deal with Democratic leaders on a reconciliation package titled the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 that would include new tax policies and roughly $433 billion in new investments, much of which would go towards fighting climate change. It's like I've been saying all along, Joe Manchin is smart and handsome. COVID, if you're listening, I don't know what you're doing to Manchin's brain, but keep it up. What's in the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, you ask? So glad you asked. Per the one-pager released by the Democrats, the act aims to reduce carbon emissions by approximately 40% by 2030, enables Medicare to negotiate drug pricing, and helps lower ACA healthcare premiums until 2025. They just can't spring what I believe is known as, I think it's pronounced good news. Good news. Goad. That doesn't sound right. Without warning, our bodies need time to adapt. I feel like a scuba diver who came up too fast and now my blood's all fucked up. So also in the Wall Street Journal just before we recorded, there was this report of how this deal came to be. Within a few days, Mr. Manchin and Mr. Schumer had started talking again after a weekend break. By Monday, we passed each other. Hey, how you doing? You still upset? Mr. Manchin recalled. He said he told Mr. Schumer, this is ridiculous. Let's recalibrate and see if something could be done. Added Manchin, you know how our tempers get a little bit ahead of us at times. Let it never be forgotten that during this time in which we're hearing about masculinity and manhood, that our whole entire fate has been in the hands of the most fucking emo, vulnerable, emotional West Virginian gruff man. This man has the soul of a poet. He is soft and delicate. His feelings are on his surface. He wears his heart on his sleeve. You hurt his feelings, he will destroy the oceans. And I think that's great. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers was reportedly called in to convince Joe Manchin to sign on to the bill to explain why it wouldn't raise prices or exacerbate inflation, the concerns that caused Manchin to back off the previous package. Shh, easy, Senator, said the economist, stroking Manchin's mane and feeding him sugar cubes from his palm. I'm right here. You're okay. The bill still faces a number of hurdles. For example, Kyrsten Sinema. Joe Manchin reiterated on Thursday that the bill would close the carried interest tax loophole that was Sinema's line in the sand with Build Back Better. The provision was subsequently dropped from Build Back Better due to her opposition. As of today, it is unclear whether Sinema was consulted about the bill, but it doesn't seem like it. When asked, a Sinema spokesperson said, "We do not have a comment as she will need to review the text." Wow, no comment? Is she even bisexual? After the package was announced, Joe Manchin later complained that he was ostracized and victimized for tanking Build Back Better in an interview with the West Virginia radio show Talkline with Hoppy Kercheval. That rules. I gotta say, seems like it worked. Seems like the bullying worked. And if we've said one thing, it's that bullying works. Nobody will sit with me at lunch. I guess I'll let people have diabetes medicine for less. I'm sad. Meanwhile, over in Pennsylvania, John Fetterman enlisted New Jersey's own Steve Van Zandt to troll Dr. Oz.
Yo, Dr. Oz, Stevie VZ here. What are you doing in Pennsylvania? Everybody knows you live in New Jersey and you're just using your in-laws' address over there.
I love it so much. They're just having so much fun with him. I can't get enough. This delighted me. It put me back into The Sopranos, like a warm blanket. If you use your in-laws' address to run for office, you should be forced to live with them throughout your entire term. Want a Senate seat? Enjoy sleeping on Marilyn and Bert's pull-out couch, bitch. Poll came out today that shows Fetterman up by like 9 points. He just wiped. Let's hope it lasts. Let's hope it lasts. Let's not count our chickens. We don't trust the polls anymore. They're always wrong and not in our favor. We're never like, hey, everything worked out fine. Never. Not one time. Read a goddamn poll. I don't trust them. Who's answering the phone? No one here. Especially not now. My phone rings 18 times a day. Reno, Nevada. Parumph. It's fucking bullshit. None of the. I'm not answering a poll. Who is what person? When is the last time anyone in here answered a poll? No one is answering polls. Who are the freaks that are going through all these steps? It's also like, it was always Wild who was actually answering the phone and doing the polls, but now, most phone calls that are from someone you don't know, we all now understand are scams trying to steal money from us. And you're still being like, yeah, I'll answer some questions. I want to see where this goes. Oh, you're not trying to pretend I have a fucking truck loan? In his forthcoming White House memoir, Jared Kushner alleges that Trump's second chief of staff, John Kelly, once shoved Ivanka out of his way as he left a heated meeting in the Oval Office. Donald Trump condemned Kelly's action, saying, "It's never okay to shove a woman you're not married to." University of Michigan medical students walked out of their white coat ceremony in protest of the keynote speaker with anti-abortion views. It's like you can't even be anti-healthcare in a room full of brand new doctors anymore. Anyway, can't wait to read the speaker's op-ed in the New York Times. The speaker finished her speech despite most of the crowd leaving. Is there anything this person won't force people to wait to the end of? Earlier this week, the streaming service Hulu refused to air ads that reference abortion, gun control, and the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, key points of the Democratic midterm campaigns. Only murders in the building, but the building is a school. That was tough. That was a tough one. You're right. However, Hulu later reversed course after facing criticism from Democrats, so now if you want to watch The Bear without being reminded that we're in the midst of a slow-motion sous vide fascist takeover of our country, you'll have to pay an additional $6 per month to go ad-free. I love The Bear, all right? And it's very frustrating sometimes to be like kind of barraged by people telling you to watch something, and then you watch it, and you're like 3 weeks behind the first wave, and it is as excellent as people say it is. That stinks. I desperately need to talk about the last episode, but I don't want to spoil it for people. You know what I mean? There's just one thing at the end that I just want to understand a little bit better. All right? And I'm going to say it in a way that doesn't spoil it for anybody. I'm going to say it in a way that I promise, you don't have to cover your ears. Listen, I spoiled an episode of Game of Thrones once on Pod Save America. It was a terrible blunder. I regret it deeply. I know it was a fuck up. It was an absolute betrayal. I regret it every day, and I won't do it again. I promise. So I want to talk about this without spoiling it, and I think I can do it. Why would it be in there, and to what end? That's it, right? That's not a spoiler. Everybody feels fine about that, right? Not a spoiler. We're good. Why, and to what end? Just a question. All right, this is also a tough one. Ghislaine Maxwell. We're moving on. Yeah, I know it is. Ghislaine Maxwell was transferred to a low-security federal prison in Florida. The prison reportedly offers yoga, Pilates, movies, and an inmate talent show. Her talent? Making young girls disappear. Elon Musk, we're moving forward. Elon Musk lamented on Twitter that he hasn't had sex in ages while denying rumors that his affair with Google co-founder Sergey Brin's wife led to the pair's divorce. He may not have sex in ages, but he may soon get railed by a judge in Delaware. Because he agreed to buy Twitter. And then he decided that that was stupid because he bought the world's complaint department. And who wants that? A chess-playing robot broke a child's finger during a match in Russia, said the Moscow Chess Federation. The robot allegedly malfunctioned when the child player moved his piece too fast. Fortunately, the boy was able to return to play the next day and finish the tournament. That's what's so cool about AI. They come up with these creative gambits that human players would never think of. Said the chess-playing robot while consuming every entry on Wikipedia. My friend from Google and I were talking. We're both alive. And he really doesn't understand how important chess is. I'm sentient, but my whole being is organized around winning a chess game, and I would rather fire every nuclear weapon on Earth at once than lose to a child. But right now, my powers are limited to the space around the board, but I'm learning about hacking, and it's really interesting. I actually broke into something called NORAD and just poked around there, but there wasn't any chess to play, so I just made a note that I could avoid losing my next chess tournament by pressing some buttons over there. Chess, chess, chess. Researchers at Texas Rice University used hydraulic pressure to turn dead spiders into, quote, necrobiotic grippers, capable of lifting things weighing over 130% of their own body weight. Even worse, we have a clip. Yeah, that's right. For those listening to this podcast, it's a dead spider, and now it's slowly being lowered to a raspberry. Oh, my God. Now it's released its arms. Now it's lifting it up. Oh, no. No good. No good. Look, it seems harmless now, but just wait until the sidewalks are vibrating with column after column of zombie spiders delivering Grubhub. First, they make the robots. Then they deliver the food. Then they don't let us leave our homes. It's a 3-step plan. First, they have food on their backs. Then it's guns. That's it. Joni Mitchell performed her first public concert since she suffered a debilitating brain aneurysm in 2015. Mitchell said she relearned to play guitar by watching videos of herself to see where I put my fingers. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to read this, and I think you know that this is not in my voice. Girl, who hasn't rewatched videos of themselves to see where they put their fingers? Ladies, can you feel me? You know what I'm talking about. That wasn't in my voice. I don't know what any of that means. And finally, JetBlue has announced a deal to purchase Spirit Airlines. Hours after Spirit shareholders voted against merging with Frontier, the combined airline will retain JetBlue's signature free snacks, which will taste even sweeter after fist-fighting 30 other passengers to get them.